welcome to The Joy of Posting with me, your host. Such a long pause. With me, your host, Rachel Jane Andelman. I am the keeper of the keep, the maester of the Twitch channel. For the next hour, I will be writing jokes and talking to you guys about the process. Hey, Puff Pfeiffer, what you doing? Hey, Tara. Hey, everyone. All my friends are here. If you are in the chat, you are, by definition, my friend. Because I think that it's nice that you showed up. And that is the new metric for friendship. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but things are crazy. And therefore, friendship, the nature of friendship. Sorry about that. Therefore, the nature of friendship has changed. Just checking you all out. Let's see how you're all doing in the comments. We tweet, we are tweeting, we are tweeting, we twat. One thing, that joke reminds me of, I was in an improv show, and I was talking to somebody. It was like a lot of quick edits, and I tagged in, and we were like talking about how something had gone viral or blown up, and I tagged in, and I'm like, listen, your idea, I twatted it, and now everyone's talking about it. And when I said the word twatted, I knew that we were at the end of that tag run, because everyone completely lost their shit in a way where you're like, really, was it that funny? I guess it was that funny. I guess I am the queen of laughter. So that was a really fun time. That was the farewell Armando. That was when 3 people were leaving Boston, and I believe one of them came back. I am the queen of laughter. Please worship me or give me sacrifices from your town. Give me big bushels of grain as in supplication. That is what I wish. So today we will be working on some jokes to give you a little bit of a sort of a up to date about where I am with jokes, where I am with comedy. I think it's fun to talk about like where you are emotionally while you're writing jokes, because depending on where you are, your jokes may come out very different, or you may your point of view is a maybe modified a little bit. There's like this medium of emotional circumstance or emotional context through which your sense of humor is bent this way or that, like a prism. So today I am very tired. My arm's a little bit achy because I think I'm aggressively bad at holding my phone at weird angles while I'm lying down, which is way too much of what I do during the day. And I'm a little tired. I was hosting a show last night. I tried my best. I hope it was good. I think it was pretty good. I may have been too snarky because that is my nature. So forgive me if you were put off, anyone at home or in hospital, by my snarkiness. Hetty says, oh no, I've got the music that plays before the stream starts stuck in my head. I'm very sorry, Hetty. I'll talk to our technical director about putting less catchy music before the show starts so this problem doesn't arise continually. 2MB Studios, that's Matt. Matt, our wonderful director, tech director. Give it up for Matt for teching this show. In real life, this is what you would do in a live show, and everyone would clap, and the tech would feel mollified by if even the briefest recognition of their hard work throughout the show. So all I can do right now is gently clap like this in front of my refrigerator that has a magnet calendar on it, and my door to the backyard that you have to lift up to close and open. But hello, welcome again to The Joy of Posting. One thing I notice when I look at the analytics of our Twitch stream is that the first couple minutes are always people like getting to the show, so I'm happy to vamp. Although I think that I'm not exactly vamping. There's a lot of content in my verbiage tonight, so not really vamping, but I am being mindful that people often get to shows a little bit later. Cool. So let's get started. If you all can see me, we're going to start writing some jokes. now that it's 9:08, and I try to only write jokes for an hour, but often what happens is I am not happy with like the last joke I've written. So even though in the promotional materials it may say, "Oh, welcome to my show where I write jokes for an hour," usually the truth is, welcome to my show where I write jokes for an hour, then feel a little bit stymied or frustrated at myself, and then write more jokes for another 10 or 15 minutes until finally I'm satisfied with my output. So that's where I am tonight, and where I've been previously. So we're going to begin. We have a nice, we have a nice white canvas, a Google document. I would love I love the idea of this turning more and more into a joy of painting episode as it wears on. I get more and more almost enveloped by the spirit of Bob Ross. So here we have a beautiful white canvas that we're going to work on today. I'm feeling good. I hope you're all feeling well, considering. That man is such a mystery. He was apparently aggressively protective of his private life, so people don't really know that much about him. But I do still feel like the best way of doing a biopic of him would be from the perspective of his three wives. He had three wives, therefore the biopic is already written. Obviously, you have part one, part two, wife two, part three, wife three. So that, I believe, if they are to go in that direction, which who knows where rights live for him, if they do go into that direction, I would structure his biopic that way. Look into the chat. A big part of joke writing is procrastinating. Looking to the chat, first of all, let's see how many people are watching us. 13. That's okay. I would love more people to be watching us, but also I can't control that. I can't force anyone to watch shows they don't want to watch or don't have time or availability for. That's not within my agency. But if anyone out in the ether suddenly feels a twinge like they've made the wrong choice, feel free to come to the stream. You will be welcomed. From the chat, Hetty writes a happy little letter, and it is. These will all be happy little letters, forming jokes of various emotional qualities. Loaf Wonderbread says Prince is a squirrel to your Bob Ross. Loaf is, of course, referring to my perfect, absolutely peerless, really Pomeranian mix. He's 20 pounds and perfect in every single way. He's like, he looks like a fox that's been in a wind tunnel. And he's my baby. And he is the squirrel. He is my squirrel. If I were Bob Ross, he would be my squirrel. So to get us started, let's see if the viewers have gone up. Yes, a couple by a couple. Perfect. Hello, those in the ether, in your bedrooms or in your dungeons, wherever you watch Twitch from. We're going to be writing some jokes for you tonight. I have my white canvas still empty of jokes, despite it being 9/11. Never forget. I can hear Matt groaning from his home. So let's get started with some jokes. So jokes that I've read recently. Let's see, what are we talking about today in the Twitter sphere? Matt says she's not wrong. I know Matt. He's much. Things you should know about Matt. He's a much better person than I am, much more decent, much more forgiving, optimistic, and mindful. I am sort of a wretch, relatively. And he has a wonderful dog as well. If you see it, feel free to admire it. However, that has happened. To write some jokes today, just to quickly summarize what people are talking about on Twitter, people are mad at a lady who did a front-facing camera video that everyone's mad at her. I understand. It's funny because I feel like if you create a like wrong-headed, like poorly conceived video that taps into the current zeitgeist, you can have people of literally almost all walks of life incredibly mad at you. which I think is almost beautiful in its way. You can have celebrities furious at you because you did like a wrong-headed video where you scream at people to vote, but as a character. And I love that people like that's a type of fame that hasn't necessarily existed before now, and I really just love that that's a new category. But I don't appreciate the hive mind of everyone deciding that they really need to dunk on this person, even though that is exactly what the fame is emerging from. So again, I'm going to procrastinate because procrastination, I can't help but emphasize, is a huge part of joke writing. We're going to go back to the chat for just one moment. Um, Kat says she's sitting watching from her bed. Thank you, Kat, for letting this be part of your nighttime routine. Thank you all at home or again on your rooftop pools where 5 Yakuza have been slain at your feet. Thank you if you are in the middle of a hot air balloon ride, which is now ironically one of the safest ways to travel, wherever you happen to be tonight watching this Twitch channel show. Thank you for being here. Splat 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 says I'm 70% sure they use them, or otherwise it's she, them. I am sorry. They, them. Everyone's mad at they, them. Again, my apologies. To get started with some writing jokes, I haven't written a joke yet. Sometimes it's funny to see how long I can talk on this show without doing anything. But obviously, you are all here ultimately for one reason, and one reason only, which is to see me write some funny tweets. So let's get started. One way I like to work is I like to work by starting with an idea. Usually a compound noun is always a good place to start because a compound noun almost always has within it 2 different ideas, which you can then play against each other to comedic effect. And if I can't necessarily in the first few moments begin to dig into a comedic premise, I can move on by free associating A to seeing, as we call it in the improv world. Rest in peace for now. Rest in peace, Buffy season 4 style. Hopefully, we're gonna write some jokes by just sort of riffing off of some compound nouns, because again, those hold more ideas. Kat in the chat suggests paper towel. That's a great idea. Tara says, I'm learning so much about tweeting and people's Yakuza connections. Again, who knows? Who knows? I wish people were watching my stream while surrounded by dead bodies? Of course not. That's tragic. Would it be funny on a particularly aloof angle? Absolutely. It's the contrast, everyone. I'm not a psychotic. So we're going to start with paper towel because that was what was suggested. So paper towels are funny because a towel. So this may be more of a starting point than a strong premise, just because paper and towel are 2 words that are very almost abstract in their generic quality. I don't know if you can hear my finger and thumb Italian chef satisfactory style running against each other, but a lot of times we're looking for words or concepts that have sort of a specific point of meaning, which we can immediately gravitate toward, and so can our audience. So paper towel might be interesting, but for me, I may come back to it because what's interesting about it takes a little while to internalize, because again, you sort of look at them and I'm not immediately sparked by them. So we're going to move on. So paper towel, one thing it makes me think of is paper mache. I think that that can't possibly be how that's spelled. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm very I misspell things that I know how to spell. Mache apparently is spelled M-A-C-H-E, but it does have the little rooftop on the A, and the little what would you call that? I would say that's a little let's call it a flying carpet on top of the E. Is it a schwa? Schwa is the only word I know that refers to things outside the letter. So, and tropes, if you're learning your Haftarah. We can start off by paper mache. Paper mache is fun. Is great if you want to make a. The based Blanquist says the acute accent. Thank you. I will believe you because I like taking people at their word. Kat says, I trust you to A to L paper towel into a much better concept. Oh, it's not that it's bad. It's just subtle. It has a subtle flavor. We will be returning to it in a moment. One thing I love to do is I love to have ADD and also switch between this and my Gmail, realize that it's probably rife with private correspondences that I shouldn't show people, and then panic, feel my heartbeat, immediately go faster, and then return to the canvas. This is all an appropriate process for joke writing. Everything I do is part of the sacred ritual of joke writing. Nothing is superfluous or ineffective. This is all part of it. So paper mache is great if you want to make a piñata or force yourself to learn the command keys for, and then this is where it helps to learn the names of these things so you can use them within the context of the joke. So, it's also papier mache. Actually, yes, it's technically papier mache. I didn't know that. Papier, like a rapier. A rapier is a sword. So papier mache is great if you want to make a piñata or force yourself to learn the command keys for. And then we do need to learn the name of this little hat guy so that I can use it in the joke. I'm sure. Let's see. The roof. I don't know how to ask Google this question. Accent mark. Roof. It is called. Is it a circumflex? Is that possibly? It's a circumflex. That's what it's called. That is. I was fully, guys. I am agog, and I'll tell you why. I really was expecting to have heard this word before. I'm like, it's something that exists within the world all over the place. It can't be that weird a word. I'm sure I've heard and just forgot. Circumflex, I've never heard this goddamn word before in my life. Tara says, I think they're called diacritics. Diacritic, I've heard that word, circumflex. I might actually use diacritic because it's a little, like, circumflex is so weird that I'm afraid that it will throw everyone but my smartest, most brilliant audience members off. So a diacritic is at least people will sort of be able to suss out what that is. So thank you, Tara, for providing the word that will sell the best. So I think diacritic is the group name, and then the circumflex or whatever the hell that monstrous word is sort of a subcategory of that. Guys, we are all learning so much tonight. Joking is a way of learning. Paper mache is great if you want to make a piñata or force yourself to learn the command keys for more than one for all its diacritics. And if I wanted to make it, if I really wanted to sell it, I might put like an explanation for what a diacritic is in the parentheses at the end of the joke. I have been doing that a lot lately as kind of like a funny aside. For me, parentheses in your jokes is almost like nudging someone with your elbow and being like, "Hey, you know what a diacritic is? It's like this thing." Because people are all over with regard to like what they're familiar with. So, and I know I'm stupid. So this one I feel like is pretty good. So we're gonna let it go. We're gonna let it fly. We're gonna like throw it out of its nest. Loaf says, learning. How are we doing for viewers? I'm so curious. 15 is super solid. Thank you all for staying. Hopefully a little bit longer. I'm not. I am a little bit neurotic about not to again make you feel like a hostage. I am a little bit neurotic about like viewership and stuff, especially because we're like a smaller channel that we're trying to grow. And so whenever I see people leave, I'm like, am I failing everyone? So yeah, don't feel obliged. Just know that I care Paper mache is great if you want to make pinata or force yourself to learn the command keys for several diacritics. For a variety. A variety is probably the best joke word for a lot of, because it's a little bit it sounds a little bit more professional than like a bunch of, or like a big old pile of. I think I probably use, if I like searched my name and variety, I'm sure it's come up in a lot of like punchlines or close to punchlines. So just to wrap up, paper mache is great if you want to make a pinata or force yourself to learn the command keys for a variety of diacritics. Let's see how that plays. That it'll be very funny if we spent 20 minutes on one joke that no one likes. Again, that's part of the sacred process. Splat 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 said, I heard that if your channel gets more than one viewer, on average, you're in the top 10% of Twitch channels. That is, I don't know how to process that. I think I'll spend the rest of the show processing that. Splat 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 also says, because so many channels are streaming to 0 to 1 viewers, so congratulations. Thank you, Splat Splat Splat. I've decided that I feel much better. Cool. So let's do some more. That was about paper mache. What else do we know? What other things are funny? So diacritics make me think of movie critics. There we go. There's our happy little letters. Movie critics. Movie critics are funny because they rate everything from 0 to 5 stars. And I'm trying to think of like a reason why that's funny. A lot of jokes from me start with saying that's weird or like that's interesting. Sorry, weird has a pernicious connotation. I don't mean to say that being weird is bad, but it's more like, it's more like a that's an interesting thing. So movie critics rate everything from 0 to 5 stars. And I'm trying to think of a joke that wasn't already made on the Andy Daly masterpiece review. So I may leave this one again. You can always come back to the setups when your brain produces a punchline, which often is when you're not thinking about the joke. It sort of produces the punchline in a vast subconscious region I call the punchline, the place where the punchlines happen. Blaze Blinkquist says, his and her paper towels. Is that something? Can we work with that? His and her stuff. I feel like I'm not from like a waspy enough home. I'm from like a very like messy Jewish home that like that stuff like for me doesn't have, it feels very like conceptual. It's not something I grew up with, so I don't have like the sense feel for it. I do love like monogrammed hand towels are great if you're bleeding out and have forgotten your initials. So that might be like a fun monogrammed hand towel joke, which I think is like kind of related to his and her towels. Put that in. There is like a lot of like home decor stuff that for me feels kind of very like alien and like alienating whenever you're like in a Pier 1. Like it's like overwhelming desire to make you feel comfortable in a space almost often for me paradoxically makes me feel sort of like I'm being hoodwinked or I'm being manipulated into feeling at ease, which makes me feel not at ease. I'm like, who's paying you to make me feel good in the context of these beige things? So we might go into that a little bit later. So this one I think is pretty good. I'm always viscerally more satisfied when I come up with a joke quickly than when I like sweat and bleed for it. So for this one, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell sometimes when I write a joke if it's good or not, because sometimes I'm just reacting to the feeling of writing it. And for me, this felt good because it just came out really quickly. like bleeding out. So we're gonna keep going. Let's see, how are we doing? How are you all doing in the chat? 19 viewers, not too shabby. I'm having a good time now. I'm so like ridiculously prone to like all the stuff. They're like, oh, when you get a like, and there's like serotonin in your brain, and it lets loose like a t-shirt cannon. And I'm like, I'm so like susceptible to like those kinds of triggers, and it's not like a surprise. Sorry if this is really loud on the mic. It's not that I'm a surprise that I'm on social media all the time as a consequence of that. It's just I do realize how kind of absurd it is. So obviously it's fine if I observe that it's bad, then it's almost not even bad. Oh, hello, Maid. Maid has gifted 5 tier 1 subs to 2MB Studios. Wow. That is wonderful. Thank you, Maid. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much. You're great. AJ Eckler, I believe I know them. I'm having fun thinking about a movie critic who goes their whole career thinking you're supposed to give a movie a 5-star rating if it has 5 or more movie stars in it. That's really good. That feels like the joke's like so written already, which I love. The base blanket says graham crackers for when you're trying to cut calories and suppress your libido. So like the idea is that graham crackers are like inherently unsexual crackers, or is there like a type of cracker that's sexier? I'm gonna have to noodle on that. Kat says I want a t-shirt cannon of serotonin. So I think the one just to get to it, movie critics rate everything from 0 to 5 stars. So there's one thing that you can fiddle with, and this is one of those existential. I throw out the word existential. I use it when I mean big. One of the existential questions you face as a joke writer is how much fiddling is useful. A lot of times, I'm sort of a first idea, best idea. So Alex's, AJ is great. The idea of one particular movie critic during it. You also have the option of saying all movie critics rate everything from 0 to 5 stars, depending on how many stars celebrities are in the moving picture. Which I like it when I'm like, I think I've said this before on the stream, that I'm a big fan of like weird world jokes where I basically am explaining a world that doesn't exist, that's much stranger and in its way better than our own. So I feel like there may be more mileage in like the one movie critic fucking up and rating movies wrong by thinking that the stars in the ratings refer to celebrities. I also am just personally a fan of every movie critic doing this, or speaking in the persona of the Twitter account and being very wrong about the nature and being like just very incorrect about how movie ratings work. So we're gonna try the weird world one here, just because it's my personal. It hits my personal buttons, and we're gonna tweet that right out. We also have a notification. Pfeiffer liked my tweet about monogrammed hand towels. Thank you so much, Pfeiffer. How are we doing in the chat? Cool. No new chats in the chat. So t-shirt cannons are fun. I've never actually seen or experienced a t-shirt cannon. All I know about them is that they're like for crowds. They're usually, I think they have an association with like lower economic sphere crowds like NASCAR and the monster trucks. That's kind of like my association with them, and that like one of them killed a Simpsons character, and that they're kind of like a symbol of also just like capital excess in sort of a trashy, quote unquote trashy way. So t-shirt cannons are obviously like a huge boon in terms of like the density of like associations they conjure, and for that reason, even though they're not particularly like in the news, quote unquote, they're still very good for jokes because they make you think of so many things. So we're just gonna put the word t-shirt cannon on there. I don't have any jokes for them yet, but let's see if any brews. Well, hoping to not be like classist or anything, we are gonna. I think that t-shirt cannon is also just like an absurdist idea that we can lean into as opposed to kind of any kind of class ramifications, because those are also probably just a projection of myself. Dan McClory writes, R.I.P. Maud. That is the character from Simpsons who died. But Pfeiffer says minor league hockey. And Based Blanco says, oh yeah, Silver Graham created the Kiss Crackers to be bland and make people less horny. Check in. That's so funny. I always associate graham crackers with like children, but it's funny that they have this like stop thinking about fucking. That's one of those things that's like very funny, and also like no one knows it, which is like one of those infuriating facts where it's like, guys, can't this just be part of our mass consciousness so we can make fun of it? But like instead of me having to explain it before I make the joke, at which point I've already spent all my time explaining it. The world is full of such frustrations. AJ Eckler says, why aren't more things delivered, distributed via cannons? Capitalism breeds innovation. Yeah, okay. I love this idea. T-shirt cannons were invented. I like also, sometimes instead of invented, I use the word devised, just because I think it sounds a little bit higher class. A lot for me of joke writing is like figuring out in terms of word choice what's like the higher status word choice, because a lot of my ideas are either like garbage or incredibly dumb or like very silly. So you're always looking to ground that shit. And for me, like high class language is always the way to do it. Base Blanquist says, every cannon is a t-shirt cannon if you're bad enough at war. That's very good. That is your joke. I'm not going to write that joke. I feel like my one concern about the show is that it will, like, if there are people who are funny enough in the chat, it will just become me like writing your like annotating or like stenographering your jokes. So feel free to throw out your own personal jokes. If you are inspired to write your own joke in the chat, that joke with a punch setup and punchline, that joke is yours. Feel free to take it to your place of joking. I won't take it from you. I don't want to steal anyone's content. But if you have like premises or funny compound nouns or funny ideas, feel free to keep throwing those out there, because those I can work with and make something that is at least technically my own. Sorry, I was a little bit distracted because I just got a text from moveon.org. That was what that look in my eye was about. Kat says, I thought the libido thing was a play on grandma versus Graham. I didn't know. I can't speak to that. Maid says, don't worry, we're not very funny at all. That is untrue. Some of you are quite funny. Kit says, hello, welcome to my place of joking. Welcome to my abode, my LOL abode. So back to t-shirt cannons. T-shirt cannons, this is what's so great about having a canvas or like having a Google Doc open, is that I can just talk about anything, and then I'm like, what was I working on? Oh, right, it's right in front of me. T-shirt cannons were devised to transport t-shirts, and then we can add like a funny fact in there. During the not my first thought was 11th century, and I'm like, that's way too early. 18th century. They as shipping routes were founded, and textile, sort of think. T-shirt cannons were devised to transport T-shirts during the 18th century. Already it's silly because I don't even know, like, they technically had T-shirts. I don't think they called them that. Probably like an undershirt, undergarment. I just watched Pride and Prejudice, Keira Knightley version, so I feel like too confident about my knowledge. T-shirt cannons were devised to transport T-shirts during the 18th century. Shipping routes were founded, and textile Methods. Methods developed. The canon fell out of favor. But whenever you're... Let's see. T-shirt cannons were devised to transport t-shirts during the 18th century. As shipping routes were founded and textile methods developed, the cannon fell out of favor. Perhaps one day it will return to non-novelty use. This historian, for one, hope so. Pfeiffer says, I've only seen the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies version. But Pfeiffer, the Keira Knightley version, first of all, I can't speak to the quality of whatever you just saw. That's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to get upset about it. I'm just going to be...
And it looks like Rachel has frozen. Hi, everybody. I'm the Matt that she's talking about. I'm just kind of hanging out watching this whole thing. I'm terrified of Twitter. So she's going to probably exit and come back. We're hoping anyway. So, hi, everybody. Oh, we have so many Fs. So many Fs. I know. No, yeah, she's not even, she's just sitting very still. She's actually not frozen. This is just an extended bit. Nope, we lost her. We lost her completely. So now here I am talking about Twitter, which I know nothing about. So what do you all want to talk about? So let's, I'm going to go into the chat here. What would you all like to talk about? Tell you a joke. Oh man. I am not a, yeah, thanks. That's the worst thing to say to somebody that even partially does comedy. Rachel, oh, you're in the chat now. Okay, great. So should I be tweeting? Is that the, thank you. Yeah, no, those are actually in the other, you're seeing the reflection of the lights. So jokes. Yeah, this is vamping. Oh, and thank Christ. Here she is. She's back. Rachel, you can't, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you're the host of the show.
What happened?
I don't know. You just froze.
Oh, no.
It's okay. Everybody's still here. We maybe lost one viewer, but they'll come back.
We'll see.
Would you like to get back to tweeting?
Yes, if that pleases everyone.
I believe it. Yeah, they're already saying they missed you. So, yeah. I'm not like, you know, when they call you to host a show, you do such a good job. But if I have to just, if I have to host a show, it's not, I'm not good at it.
Guys, can we get some thank you, Matt, in the chat?
All right, I'm out.
Okay, bye. Oh boy, sorry about that. I think my computer screen just froze. That is my browser, so I very much apologize to Matt most of all. That's an enormous amount of pressure to suddenly be under. But let's return to joke writing. So I believe I was just about to paste this in. This is the end of the joke that I ended up writing for t-shirt cannons. T-shirt cannons were devised to transport t-shirts during the 18th century. As shipping routes were founded and textile methods developed, the cannon fell out of favor. Perhaps one day it will return to non-novelty use. This historian, for one, hopes so. I think that's a pretty strong tweet. That's a pretty fun tweet. Biscuit Dough Handsman, also known as Rondal Red Doll Leg. I'm unsure of who they are represented by in the chat, but they had a very good tweet about the t-shirt cannons. I'm going to retweet that right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, Kat brings up a really wonderful point, which is that you can see Matt host his own show with Chloe Zwicker every Monday at 9:30. That's Eastern Daylight Time. And you can see that he's actually a very good host when he's not when he is expecting to do that. You should always watch him. Based Blanquist says, "It me." Hello, Based Blanquist. So nice to match up a Twitch handle name with a Twitter handle name. Still have no idea what you look like, or where you live, or anything about you, but your internet presence. But good to meet you a little bit more. In any case, AJ Eckler says, "Friends, NBC, the one where Matt vamped." Snap, snap, snaps. That's a very good one. Thank you for submitting that. Matt says, "As long as I'm prepared and not tired, and the show is now at 9:30." I said 9:30. I said 9:30. It's always at 9:30 now because 9 was too early for us jokers. But very funny, very lovely. Matt and Chloe are two of the nicest people I know who are also funny, which is that's not faint praise. They are both things, and they have really cool guests. So definitely not to make this show just a promotional vehicle for other shows on the channel, but definitely watch some other shows on the channel. If you like this one, you may like others. So let's get back to joke writing because I have my little canvas open. Last edit was 2 whole minutes ago. Oh my god, Google Doc is like haranguing me. Last edit was 2 minutes ago. That's a joke. Sometimes I feel like Google Docs is mad at me. Last edit was 2 minutes ago. Okay, promise. Okay, if I don't make any more edits. Okay, let's see if I take longer. Sorry, this is the hardest part, I think, to translate to in an engaging and satisfying way to viewers. Is the part where I just like end up muttering to myself, like Miss Havisham, assumedly. Like, okay, if I don't, okay, what comes after this line? Like, what's a good way of framing this? Let's see. Sometimes I feel like Google Docs is mad at me. Last edit was 2 minutes ago. Okay. Okay. I might take another. Okay, I hope if another minute or two. Okay, let's see. Okay, I promise to make some more. Please don't break my legs. I need those to feed my family. That's good. There's comedic potential. It's not really a punchline per se, but just sort of the ambiguity of how one feeds their family with your legs. If the legs you need to transport yourself to your place of work in order to create money, in order to feed your children, or if somehow your family is eating your legs, that's kind of a fun level of ambiguity that I always approve of. So that for me is a joke. So we're gonna go. We see we're already getting, even though I haven't retweeted these from my main account, from my my 11,000 follower account, which is really good because I've said this before on the program, but for me, one of the biggest benefits of having 11,000 followers, 10.7 thousand followers, is that you know when a joke is bad because people see it. When you have a small account, you can't always tell if a joke is bad or if it's good and no one saw it. But when you have a big account, you definitely know. Which that's kind of like almost for me. There's a few like incredibly great things that come from having a big account, which I'm extremely thankful for. And the ability to just get a yes or no question on like, is this joke good? For me is one of the greater benefits to having that. So now I'm like kind of reviewing the joke. I always tend to feel a little bit skittish about using exclamation points in almost any joke. This is maybe something you've noticed about me if you've read my Twitter a lot. I think periods and no periods are almost always the funnier route because they're just more deadpan. I almost always am suspicious of the comedic potential of exclamation points. I'm like, if you really want something to be louder, why wouldn't you use all capitals? Which we all know, all caps is funny. So for me, exclamation point, I don't know where exactly its place in the humor lexicon lies. I'm a little fuzzy. I may like try to write some jokes just using exclamation points just so that I feel more comfortable with them, because I do tend to shy away from them because I do feel skepticism toward their utility as a comedy tool. So let me just make sure that I'm going to read through this one more time just to see if exclamation point is what I really want here. Let me just check the chat one more time. There's been some questions. Base Blanco says special guest star. That's an actual star. Interesting. I think the star and star question has been explored in previous things. We can come back to it though. AJ Eckler says Google Docs is why people don't invite you to stuff. Other Dave Thomas, hello David. That's a great point, Rachel. That's how I know all my jokes are bad. Here's the thing, guys. All your jokes are good. With one or two little tweaks. Almost always, one or two little tweaks. Feel free to not shit on yourselves in the chat. Positivity. I know toxic positivity has led us to maybe this moment in time and the collapse of the country as we know it. That said, in the pure realm of comedy and writing jokes, feel free to have a good time and like yourself. Don't shit on yourself. It's in my realm, in my comedy place, it's not allowed. 2MB Studio says, how do you feel about question marks? Question marks are often necessary. I don't think they're particularly funny. I don't necessarily like laugh when I see a question mark, although now that I'm thinking about it, there may be very particular contexts. Anything where it would be funny to not know something. Although again, do you need that question mark? I use periods and then an empty and then a no punctuation at the end. For me, that's almost always against just to hammer it in myself. I'm often learning my philosophy as I talk out loud. Almost always a stronger choice as opposed to question and exclamation points. They're a little flashy. They're a little bit like, they almost like take me out of the experience of reading a tweet, if that makes any sense and doesn't sound crazy. So sometimes I feel like Google Docs is mad at me. Last edit was 2 minutes ago. Okay. I promise. All right. I'm trying to think. How do I make this a little bit more, how do I invest in this scenario a little bit more with my word choices? Please, I promise to make more edits. Oh God, I promise. I swear to God, I promise to make more edits. Please don't break my legs. I need those to feed my family. That's a little bit stronger, I think. Please don't break my legs with the period for me is almost like more solemn and less goofy than the exclamation point. There's something goofy. There's something unserious about exclamation points that drive me nuts. Sometimes I feel like Google Docs is mad at me. Last it was 2 minutes ago. I swear to God. I promise to make more edits. Please don't break my legs. I need those to feed my family. That feels pretty strong to me. Kitemba says, don't shit on yourself or on Nancy Pelosi's driveway. I don't know what that means. Cool, moving on. I'm sure it means something. I just its particular meaning for me is lost. So let's keep going. I feel like I haven't written a ton of jokes on this particular show, but I've been pretty happy with all of them, which isn't always the case. So I think we're doing pretty well. Let me just check. Again, procrastinating very important. Let's check the viewers. We're 14, totally fine. That's very respectable. Thank you all for sticking with it if you've stuck with it. And thank you for coming. Thank you for arriving if you're newly here. Kid Tempest says, it was in the news. A kid did so, posted on YouTube, got arrested. Somebody shat in Nancy Pelosi's driveway? That's pretty... Let's be real. That's fun. It's like a fun thing to do. I don't have a lot of respect for a lot of people in power. Cool. So let's do some more. I'm gonna rub my hands together like I'm about to do something strenuous. All right, let's see. Rubbing my hands together in order to convey. Actually, rubbing my hands together is funny. It's like funny if you're like setting yourself up to do something and then it's for another purpose. Like I love like gestures which strongly imply one action about to take place and then you undercut it by doing something completely different that still makes sense within the situation. Rubbing my hands together in order to convey I'm about to do something strenuous. Let's see. And then you kind of think about, okay, what is not strenuous that they could be about to do? Or for what purpose would they need to present themselves as about to do something strenuous? Simplify it. Rubbing my hands together in order to convey I'm about to do something strenuous. It's important not to look lazy in front of, and then who would be someone you'd want to do this in front of my hands together in order to convey I'm about to do something strenuous. It's important not to look lazy in front of my doctor. Base banquets as my ancestors. That's a good, interesting idea. Dan says, hard to differentiate a leftist turd from a right one. Horseshoe theory for poops. That's very funny. The thing is, like, it's like you hope that it was for leftists, but you're like, if somebody who's like a Marxist pooped in Nancy Pelosi's driveway, you're like, good for them, and also like we'll never fucking hear the end of it. Like they'll blame, if like they lose the election, they'll blame the kid who pooped in Nancy Pelosi's driveway. I mean, you could get me going. Rubbing my hands together in order to convey I'm about to do something strenuous. It's important not to look lazy in front of my doctor. If they think I'm not, I don't know. One thing is like sometimes I can feel myself losing the thread of a joke while I'm writing it, in which case I tend to believe it's better to simply move on, because for me, that's how my brain works. My brain is like, listen, I can come up with you a lot of different premises. There's no reason to waste your time on one that you instinctually know is weak. But Pfeiffer writes, these toxic Bernie bros thinks it's acceptable to shit in a driveway. I really don't like poop jokes. And if you do a poop joke, I would try to find, like, I would probably use the word excrement. Hearing someone left excrement in one of in the driveway of the House Speaker. It's deeply concerning and leads one to wonder, why do cars drive on a parkway and excrement sits in a driveway? Hetty says, excrement is such a fancy word. It sounds like it has to do with taxes or something. I totally agree. And it's like I think that if I have to write a shit joke, I'll probably use that word. It just feels better. I do like this joke, and I'll tell you why. I love jokes that are ultimately jokes about other older jokes, which is maybe very self-indulgent of me. It just feels like, I love that there's like a joke canon. I love that jokes which are inherently meant to like deconstruct our reality then become our reality, so that everyone is like familiar with like the joke about driveways and parkways or whatever the shit. So anytime I can get to deconstruct a canon joke, like sort of like a historical joke, I'm for it. The base Blanco says you could pretend the car did the shitting. That's interesting. One thing I've noticed, I actually do love personifying objects in jokes. I think that's fun as a writer. I do notice that those like jokes that personify things tend to not do very well. I think that they are not always like relatable, or like people have trouble investing in them. I think they're like, oh, this car does humans do what this joke, this is ridiculous. I think people are literally in their head like, time to check out. Bellhop, bring me my bags. Time to check out of the premise of this joke. That's how in my head everyone sounds in their head. I'm sorry. So one more time, I'm going to read it. One more time. Hearing someone left excrement in the driveway of the house speaker, it's deeply concerning and leads one to wonder why do cars park in a driveway. This is why you reread your jokes, because for me, I just like sometimes I fucking lose words. And excrement sits in a driveway. I like that. And obviously there's a topical element. Thank you, Kit. Hopefully it will be fun for those, whether or not they are aware of the topical element or not. Someone wrote, let's see, what is this? Oh, someone wrote, loved hot dog guns, germs and steel. Can't wait for your next book. Fun fact, that was the book that my book club read the month before I joined my book club. So I haven't read Guns, Germs, and Steel, but I almost did, if that makes sense. Boof Wellington says, I cannot relate to man car. Base Blanco says it's a movie where a bee does things a man might do. Boy, the thing is that bees are so funny. There's like, bees are a great comedic tool because everyone like knows like way too much about bees. Like, don't make them a guy. Like, just make them fucking bees. Like, we are prepared to laugh at their bizarre hexagonal homes and the fact that they dance to talk and the fact that the guys are just there to fuck and the queens are like big bees. Like, all of that stuff's very funny. Like, hive insects are funny insects, and like the more you personify them, the more you make them banal. That's so frustrating. Do a bee movie. Okay, not to get on a rant, but it is a crime that there has not been an animated bee movie where a bee, or an ant movie where they just act like fucking bees or ants. Like, really dig into it. Like, don't do this thing where like what's it called? Stallone voices like an ant that has like a six-pack and they eat in the cafeteria and they eat like leaves on a plate. That's bullshit. Like, make them really insect-like and just dig into how weird that is. That's my Andy Rooney moment for this show. You know that I'm old because I remember, because I watched him while he was alive and I remember him. He would have been such a good YouTuber. AJ Eckler says the car that poops is named Shitty Shitty Bang Bang, but this isn't information that is useful to anyone. Au contraire, mon frère. I will always carry that idea with me. Thank you. It is useful purely in terms of my amusement. Thank you very much. Splash says thank you. At this B movie commentary, awful movie. There's so much B potential. Go please. This is how I feel about B movie. Thank you. Splash. I did not know that you needed this. I'm glad that I was able to provide you the commentary on B movie that you needed. Base Banquet says go off Queen B. Thank you. I'm usually not Qual Queen. Thank you. Puffifer says, stop making B movies where the main B is in their 30s and dating a B in high school. Puffifer, here's the thing. That's your joke. That's a full joke. Write that joke. Tag us. We'll retweet it. If you guys write jokes in the comments and they're full jokes and they don't need me to write them, you don't need me to write them for you. Just tag 2MB Studios and we will retweet them. And I'll probably retweet them if I really like them. I'll also retweet them on my main, which, as we know, has 10.7k followers. So everyone will see. So a loaf of bread says, I think it's called Planet Earth if you want realistic bee and ant moments. Yeah, but like they're like be funny though, like a fictional. Anyway, don't get me started. I've already. I need to end. Cool. Let's try a couple more jokes. I feel like I have a couple more jokes in me. Sorry, I'm a lot of talking. Let me get some water. Yes, you can say one thing about these people who do like podcasts for 8 hours, like Joe Rogan and like Rush Limbaugh, like whatever your feelings about their content, that's a lot of talking. I'll hail the Queen of Laughter. Thank you, Kat. Kat also writes, I think it's called Planet Earth. Oh, I read that comment already, so I won't read it again. Let's write some more jokes. I had the phrase walnut face. Sometimes my premises are just intrusive thoughts or intrusive phrases. In this particular case, walnut face doesn't mean anything. It's not a term people use. Do I mean a craggy face? Do I mean an old face? It almost instantly becomes provocative or offensive. So walnut face is not really useful in terms of setting up a premise, but was a weird, just an intrusive thought. I hesitate to use the word intrusive thought, I should hesitate, because I feel like there's definitely like a medical component, like you should get it like diagnosed, and I don't think like they're not like, I have the thought, but I don't know if it's like intruding, but I do have it all at once, so I don't know. I guess it depends on how frustrated people are at colloquial usages of diagnostic terms, and I know that people are often strict about it for good reason. So that's that. Let's think of more jokes. Handbags, are they made of hands? Says obviously there's a joke here that I just wrote. Handbags are made of hands. Really surprised the news hasn't spent more time on this. There's this like weird thing where like there's a news item that's like fucking batshit, and we spend like 2 minutes on it, and it's like, well, time to move on. There's new. That's what we do. Like regardless, like there is stuff happening all the time, which I respect, and also I feel like they would do that regardless. And it's just such a one way our society is broken is our inability to stick with anything for any fucking amount of time, unless it's literally a nationwide plague, a global plague, but increasingly a nationwide plague. But I don't. I'm really not going to try to think about Corona during this program. It just bums me the shit out. So handbags are made of hands. We're really surprised the news hasn't spent more time on this. For me, that's like a fun little do-daddy joke. Do-daddy jokes are fun to write. People have different speeds about them. It's not like a particularly like beautifully well constructed joke, but it is fast. It gets there, and I feel like it gets the job done in a technical sense. So I don't mind them. Let's write a couple more before I go to bed. Let's see. I hope everyone in the chat's having a good time. Let's see what the viewers are like. We were down to 13, so one person decided they had enough or that they were sleepy, which valid. Let's do a couple more. And also, like, thank you so much for hanging out, spending an hour of your Wednesday hanging out with me and my silly little hobby. Really a hobby, because I haven't monetized it successfully. But until thank you for hanging out with me, making silly little jokes in my Google Doc and posting them. I hope that this has been fun for you, and it has been fun for me. I like this show very much, and I hope to do it for at least some time going forward until everyone decides they've had enough. Usually that's how things go. One more thing. Soy sauce packets are great. They are beautiful reminders of when you had Chinese takeout and didn't Chinese takeout for months ago and didn't use. You may be wondering at this point, where is she getting soy sauce packets from? And I'll be real, I'm staring at one. It's right under the computer. It's like under some wires and pens and papers. It's real messy. I think we've said I come from a messy Jewish household, and I'm just staring at this soy packet. I'm like, why are you there? There's somewhere else you should live, or you should be thrown away. But in lieu of that, I should make fun of you. And this is where really my wheelhouse comes in. Soy sauce packets are great. They are beautiful. Mementos is a stronger word than reminders. Mementos are just the word memento is just a cool word. Soy sauce packets are great. They are beautiful mementos of when you had Chinese takeout 4 months ago. I already wrote that. And didn't use all your soy sauce packets. Some would say our lives are an endless string of moments to be forgotten. But soy sauce packets say let us not forget as long as we are alive, let us not forget this time we shared. Also, I'm still good. Cool. So that's like a beautiful, it's kind of a beautiful sort of statement about the ways we can, move against the ferocious and deadening and shedding aspects of time. It's too. What a wonderful. What a wonderful moment to realize that your attempt at something beautiful is too long for Twitter. Alex has a couple words missing in this one. I'm excited to go through it and see exactly how batshit it sounds because it's hard to write in front of an audience. Soy sauce packets are great. They are beautiful mementos of when you had Chinese takeout 4 months ago and didn't use all your soy sauce packets. Some would say our lives are meant to be forgotten, but soy sauce packets say not yet. As long as we are alive, not yet. Also, still, excuse me. Soy sauce packets are great. They are beautiful mementos of when you had Chinese takeout 4 months ago and didn't use all your soy sauce packets. Some would say our lives are meant to be forgotten, but soy sauce packets say, not yet. I don't want to make it a crutch to use parentheticals all the time, but I do enjoy using parentheticals a lot lately. Also, you can still use me. I expire in 2056. This is packets, and then we can just save some space by making this one sentence. Soy sauce packets are beautiful mementos of when you had Chinese takeout 4 months ago and didn't use all your soy sauce packets. Some would say our lives are meant to be forgotten, but soy sauce packets say not yet. Also, you can still use me. I expire in 2056. Beautiful. I think that tweet is good. So I think that's a great tweet to wrap up on. Not just because I'm losing my voice. I think that was genuinely a pretty good tweet. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you so much. We have to do our outro spiel. We have shows every day of the week. Tomorrow is Thursday. Come here again at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm always referring to the Eastern Daylight Time of Mind Over Manor. It's a reality competition show where very funny comedians are tasked with a series of tasks which they must address creatively, and then they're judged, and then they get points, and then at the end of the series, somebody wins some money that goes to charity and a key. So it's a great show. Everyone on it's really funny and cool. Catch that at Thursday and Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. See Sex With Me, the show where people make dirty jokes for 69 minutes. Awesome. So that has been the show. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you online.